talking about?
You cut me off just now.
Oh, my bad. I'm just letting you know it won't about us. You know, you need to say, I'm sick of Banks cutting me off and not Big Rube, because Big Rube don't be cutting you off.
I'm really not liking them right now. 804-726-3430. 3430.
Dirty.
Before we move into our next segment, I just wanted to ask y'all a quick question. Big Rube wants to say something. I'm going to give him a minute in a second. Did y'all hear about the drug addict baseball player who just came out of retirement and signed a minor league contract in the Bay Area?
Big Manny.
Manny Ramirez?
Did you hear about that?
I heard about it.
What's that about?
He minor league, nobody cares.
Yeah, but he gonna make the roster.
No, he's not.
You don't think Manny's gonna make the roster?
He's there to make for the minor league people to get some money because it's gonna be full every time he plays. Nobody cares.
$500,000.
I mean, plus he's got to sell 50 games before he comes back anyway.
It was supposed to be 100.
Yeah,
and he chopped it down because he retired last year. I think he should have to serve the whole 100 games personally.
I mean, you might as well. You come back in August, beat Diesel, ready to go. Why not?
Yeah, I think
especially if you're getting paid.
I think they said he comes back right after his 40th birthday and whatnot. I just thought that was funny, because the guys up there in Boston, I don't know how many baseball fans we got listening. Hopefully you are, because we're going to talk a little bit about it once spring training kind of gets up and going. Pitches and catches just reported this past weekend, but there's some reason the Cats in Boston didn't get a lot of flack when Alex Rodriguez and some of the other people got a lot of flack, Big Rube, and their name was on that Mitchell report a couple years ago. But David Ortiz, who played in Boston, who still plays in Boston, goes by the nickname Big Poppy. For some reason, Big Rube didn't get a lot of flack. What's that about?
Big crackhead. I mean, I don't know what's bad. Boston people.
I'm sorry, that's a nickname I can't call somebody. It's Poppy.
I mean, you know what? I'm not.
No,
I can't.
It's a culture thing.
I can't talk about fans there because. Short story. Back in my ODU days, I was in the newspaper. This is what I was going to talk about. This is what I was talking about. Back in the newspaper
for a lot of things.
Yeah, whatever. School newspaper, had to do an article on the baseball team. Had to attend the baseball game. Went to the baseball game with my Yankees hat on. I'm walking up to the game. Some dude stops me and was like, basically, are you a Yankees fan? Yeah, I'm a Yankees fan. I looked at my hat, make sure I had the right hat on. Yeah. He was like, man, I'm a Boston Red Sox fan. Y'all suck. And I just looked at him. I was like, all right, man, whatever. And just kept walking. I was like, really, Boston fans? You need to come out and tell me as a Yankee fan that I suck? I mean, you feel that low about yourselves?
No. I mean, Red Sox, no offense. Offense to them. They have like this little brother syndrome where their big brother is taller and more handsome and has more girlfriends and is a better athlete and gets better grades and, doesn't have to wear glasses and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
That's like the Red Sox are the little brother to all of that.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I am a little brother, so I can appreciate this. Every once in a while, a little brother jumps up and sucker punches the big brother right in his mouth and gets a scar on his knuckle. Yeah, that was for you. That really happened. But anyway, every once in a while that happens.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But at the end of the day, you always going to be the little brother. It is what it is. So, Big Rube got something he want to say. What you got, man?
All right, man. Look, last week I said I had some comments that I was really incensed about, and I was pretty inconsiderate when I said them. So I'm going to say it and I'm going to apologize because last week, I don't know if he heard my comments. He probably didn't. But you know what? My bad, Landry Fields. I'm sorry for dogging you out last week. I mean, you come back, have like a 19-point game, and then like a 15-point game, and then had the nerve to dunk on somebody that made the Sports Center top 10 last night. I still think you ain't that great. But you know what? I'm going to back off for at least a week. I'm going to leave the dude alone.
All right, well, I really don't know where to go with that. Simply, actually I do. Big Rube knows that I'm a Knicks fan.
Yep.
Big Rube told me during the break that he had an apology and he didn't want to tell me who he was apologizing to or for. I said, okay. I'm thinking he might have said something offensive during the show that I missed, whatever. This dude really wants to come in now and apologize to Landry Fields.
Because I dogged him out last week,
New York Knicks, who I would say every 2 to 3 games has a dunk that makes you jump out of your chair. Now, I know this because I watch every Knick game. I'm a Knick fan. And I defended Landry Fields on the air last week, and I told Big Ruby. I think that might have been the moment where I went to K-Dub, which is what I'm gonna do right now. K-Dub, go ahead and join in here. Tell me what you think about Landry Fields.
Yo, what up? Hey, Landry Fields. I ain't got no problem with Landry Fields and Rube. I told somebody that last week that was real disrespectful, man. I'm glad you apologized for him, yo. But, yo, man, Landry Fields, I mean, how much you going to expect from a dude that got, basically 2, potentially 3 All-Stars on the team? 2 cats are pretty much in the top 10, top 15, arguably, as far as players in the league. You got a monster front line. How much you really think he's gonna score? I mean, if you get anywhere between 10 and 15, 16 points at the 2-guard position on that particular team, you're an asset, and he do a lot of things that, a lot of little things that don't necessarily get that publicity. He may make that pass that goes to a pass, or he may get that rebound at a certain particular point of the game. I mean, last year at this particular point, he was the leading 2-guard in rebounds, and he was a rookie last year. I mean, granted, he didn't necessarily end that way, but that's pretty, that ain't nothing to just sneeze at. So, nah, man, Landry Fields is better than what you think.
What do you think? What do you think of Jeremy Lin? We're going to talk a lot about him. Why don't you just give us your initial impressions of Jeremy, and then we'll kind of break it down a little bit more.
To be honest with you, he just shows that he's a very good player, man. He's not just your average player. He can come in and make things happen. High points, high numbers of assists. What you saw last night. Even though in the losing effort, he only had maybe three turnovers. Granted, they lost, but I'm impressed. I'm impressed because he was sitting at the end of the bench. I mean, let's keep it funky. He was sitting at the end of the bench, and he got in, and he was basically the third guard that's come off as far as trying to run the team at the point guard position. So I'm impressed, man.
I will say this about New York: they have found a lot of role players this season, more so than any other team that I've ever watched before. So I'm very impressed with how they're playing right now. You got
check this out, man. Let's pose this question right here, not to cut you off. There's very few teams. Now, granted, it's going to be right now. It's going to be a process of cats. You just added a lot of new cats to the equation. But how many teams you can say in the league that can go 2 to 3 people at each position at certain points of the game? There's not really that many teams that can do that.
That's true.
Well, I mean, I look at it like this. Like you said, he started off at the end of the bench, and ironically, the team that he made his impact the first time against, they played against last night. They played against the New Jersey Nets February 3rd or 4th. I can't remember the exact date. It was the day before the Super Bowl. Comes off the bench out of desperation. We all know that the New York Knickerbockers weren't doing much. They were going nowhere fast. Mike D'Antoni was in the process of coaching himself out of a job. And out of desperation, he puts in this kid that most of us who follow the Knicks expected to be waived pretty soon. And he goes out and he torches the Nets. I think he had something like 25 or 26 points, 8 rebounds, all off of the bench. And somewhat embarrassed an all-star point guard by the name of Darren Williams. Now, we know that there's certain people, certain players that had that spark in their eye, and that doesn't just, go over lightly. All-star players don't allow that type of thing to happen. And
yeah, he got him
Darren
back.
Williams was none too happy, Carlton Banks, about how it went down, and he had some comments that he made subsequent to that game. That brings us to last night, K-Dub. What did you see in Darren Williams and the New Jersey Nets effort in Madison Square Garden last night?
I'm gonna say it to you real. I know you gotta watch how you talk on the show, but Darren Williams tried to bust his ass. Listen, he went at him, and if I'm not mistaken, he scored 28 points. I think he had all 3-pointers. He tried to go out there and really tried to let everybody know. Which, if you really take a step back and look at it, he is the best point guard in the tri-state area.
No, I don't think there's any question about that. I don't think so.
So he went out there and just kind of, you got to look at it. If I'm a player and, this cat is getting all of this worldwide publicity, and it all started when they played against me, the next time I see him, I'm going at him.
Oh, yeah, he did. He did.
Big Rube.
And he went at him. And he went at him, and it got them a win.
Big Rule, let me ask you this. I know that your team plays on the opposite coast of the Knicks, but I know as a basketball fan, you've been keeping up with them. How do you feel about Jeremy Lin as a point guard with regards to all of the turnovers that we're seeing? Because a lot of people, and this is understandable, it's a great story, a lot of people have been caught up in the offensive effort, the spark that he's provided, the comparisons to Steve Nash, the fact that, as I mentioned last week here on these airwaves, that Mike D'Antoni is a great coach for point guards. But then when you look at the negative, because there are a few, and I watched every single game he's played, one of the biggest ones are turnovers. How you feel about that?
First of all, I want to know how this all went down. Did they all just get in the huddle and D'Antoni's like, yo, who wants to lead this team? And Jeremy Lin just put his hand up? I mean, first of all, to call Jeremy Lin a average player is not fair. I think that Jeremy Lin is a very good player. He is also a student of the game, and every night he is going to be the smartest man on the floor by far, without question. As far as his turnover situation goes, I feel like he hasn't had a chance to grow, so these turnovers are expected. If you don't expect them, then you're fooling yourself. As far as D'Antoni being a coach for good point guards, I don't know what I can really say about that, because Steve Nash was a beast before D'Antoni got to him. I mean, he just said, okay, y'all can run up and down and do what you need to do, or emulate what they call showtime for the Los Angeles Lakers. But I personally don't think D'Antoni is a good coach.
Well, I laid it out for you last week, and I'll give it to you again. D'Antoni is a great coach when it comes to point guards. As a Knicks fan, K-Dub and I go way back. He wasn't a fan of the signing. I was. I stand corrected. He called that one right. That's why he's the NBA analyst, so ain't no half stepping. But when you look at the point guards that he has had, he took Steve Nash, who was an all-star, and turned him into a Hall of Famer. He took Chris Duhon, who couldn't get off of the bench, and made him a starter. And the only time anybody remembers his name was his tenure in New York. Where's Chris Duhon now? He's riding the pine in Orlando. He took Raymond Felton, who was a marginal point guard. He was decent coming out of college, didn't do a lot in Charlotte. Came to New York, and all of a sudden he was this great point guard who almost went to the All-Star game. You could argue he got snubbed. He gets traded in the Carmelo trade, does nothing in Denver, and he's riding the pine in Portland now, about to get waived. So what's the consistent factor of all those guys I just laid out to you? That's Mike D'Antoni. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a fan of the guy, but I'm going to give him man credit where credit is due. K-Dub, pick up right there. What you got to say to that?
Whatever, man. Whatever. He cheat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everything you said was cool about, as far as people, whatever, man. Man. I'm not a believer. I never was from the jump start. Also with Raymond Felton, he is playing in Portland, but he's not really playing at the level that he played this time last year when he had Amari or what have you. I wish that, all things, hindsight is 20/20, so I can't say what I wish would have happened or if this and if that, but,
But if you disagree and tell me where I'm wrong.
I'm not
tell you where you're wrong.
I'm not giving D'Antoni any credit for none of that.